Hi, Chris McClune here with Fire Apparatus and Emergency Equipment. Welcome to our first podcast of 2025. We're going to be talking trucks today, and specifically, we're going to be talking about this truck right here. This is Rescue Squad 820, and it is with the Prince George's County Fire EMS Department. With me from that department is Ricky Riley. He's in charge of the Apparatus Maintenance Division there. We're going to be talking. I first saw this truck when I visited Ricky at the shop back in, I guess it was November. I was down in that area. I was picking my son up from college. I think it was right before Thanksgiving, and I was able to get a tour of the shop, and I was lucky enough to see this truck was in there. Is it still in there, Ricky, or is it in service now?
No, it's still here. They're doing driver's training on it now. So.
Gotcha. Well, so this is like I said, Rescue Squad 820. It is. I'm going to let Ricky get into some of the nuts and bolts on it. When I was down there, one of the and this is, I'm going to give Ricky a chance to really shine a light on his personnel there. One of the things that Ricky kept saying to me was how proud he was of the equipment mounting that was being done, and that's why it was in the shop. It wasn't in service yet. It was delivered in August of 2024. We'll get into a little bit about the 80-20 split for equipment mounting that Ricky and I have been talking about today. But there was a lot of pride taken in all the work that had been done up to that point. Now, of course, we're at the driver training stage, so we're definitely at a point where this truck is getting ready to go into service. Also wanted to talk real quick just about some of the stats that I saw that Prince George's County Fire EMS Department posted today. When you take a look at this truck, this truck is going to have a lot of miles put on it. This is one busy fire department. They had total unit responses for 2024 were 293,562 for an average of 802 unit responses per day. That's not 802 fire calls per day or EMS calls per day. It's unit calls. So this truck is going to see a lot of work. So when you put together a truck like this, when you put together the spec for it, you're planning for this to be in service, to be taking a beating, probably a bit, getting to and from. And that's just the nature of what we do with the starting and the stopping. But you're also planning for, in this case, likely, holding on to this for a while. And Ricky, don't worry, I will let you get a word in edgewise here in just a second. When I wrote up our outlook for 2025, one of the things that just about across the board everybody said was, in 2025, if you're planning a purchase, start as early as you can. And this truck is sort of an example of that a little bit. It was ordered in 2022, took delivery of it in 2024. And this is one of those deals where and it had and it has been taken time to get the truck in service. Here we are in 2025. So you're talking about these days a pretty significant amount of time that you need to plan for. Also, Ricky, I did want to ask you to just talk real quick about the maintenance employee, the EVT or the mechanic that you had who just retired recently. And that also goes into operating a fleet division. One of the other things that we mentioned in that outlook was that one of the things leading toward the longer lead times in some cases is a labor shortage. There just aren't as many people out there that are choosing to go into that vocation of apparatus fabrication and manufacturing. Same can be said probably for some of the maintenance divisions. So Ricky, I hope you had somebody in place to take this fellow's place.
No, we did not. But it's just through county HR processes and stuff like that. The position has to be vacant. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I've dealt with a number of fire departments and HR departments and human resources and stuff like that. That these are just the way things happen in county, city, or state government. We're not a private enterprise, so we can't do some of the stuff that we want to do with, onboarding someone and have them mentored and chaperoned for a while. It's just, You can't have two pin codes. You can't have two people working the same job. So, but Anthony Bynum was our parts guy, and he kind of took us from where we were kind of lagging behind to where we're at today, where our shelves are stocked with parts and they're ready to go. It's very rare that at any time during the day that I go, hey, why is this truck sitting here? And the mechanic's famous words to me when they were taking a little break was, hey, we're waiting on parts. We're waiting on parts. But it's very rare that. So Anthony, I gave him a directive, pretty much say, look, if the mechanics come back here and need XYZ air valve, for a 2022 Pierce Enforcer, order 3 of them. That all kind of started with COVID. I believe, that we just started ordering an extra and having the stuff kind of on the shelf. So, we can, other than like axles and a complete fire pump, we probably have every kind of part that goes on the rig, on the shelf in stock. If it's not in the stock room, we have a series of Connex boxes, 53-foot trailers that we bought without wheels, and we store the extra parts in there, tires, rims, brake assemblies, radiators, any kind of thing that we could possibly think that's going to put the truck out of service for a long time. We try to have in stock rather than, bringing the truck in, finding out, let's say, for example, it needs a radiator, calling our vendor, calling our dealer and saying, hey, we need a radiator for, truck, XYZ. And, then they got to call the manufacturer. And then, so it could be week, 2 weeks. And, we're waiting, we were looking for some valve for an ambulance the other day. And they said it's on galactic back order. That was their term. So, it was 4 and 5 month lead time on a air valve for this ambulance. So it's kind of a big deal. And Anthony brought us to that point and, kept the shelves stocked. And he was a 36-year plus employee with the county. I mean, that's dedication. And we're happy that he's riding off in the sunset. And matter of fact, he drove his new Corvette in on his last day. So he's a happy man being able to drive around. So we appreciate everything he did for us. So.
That's great. Our congratulations to Anthony on that. But let's get into this truck a little bit here. We got a lot more. We have a lot more pictures. We're not just going to be looking at the outside here. It's a 2022 Pierce. It's an Enforcer. It's a walk-in, which depending on what area of the country you're from, walk-in could mean just 2 doors at the rear of the truck, which we'll see later. Or sometimes the walk-in area is through the crew cab and into the back. This one is that DC or FDNY style 2 doors in the back. But Ricky, just start to take us through and let me know when you want me to change the slide.
Sure. So it's a 2024. So it's titled 2024. It was ordered in 2022. So this is not this particular rig, but there's a sister to this rig that is the very first 2-door Pierce Enforcer. So the federal government had a 2-door, but we were the first fire department. So, the federal government gets whatever they want ahead of the fire department anyway. So, so this is more or less a pumper 60-inch cab. With the, without the crew cab in the back, and that's all storage. Where you see the American flag and the Maryland flag, that's usually a crew cab door and a window, and we have storage in there. And we'll show you pictures of that later on in the program. But now Pierce offers that in what they call 2-door stubby, which is they kind of take it right back behind that rear fenderette and take all that space out, just to kind of shorten the wheelbase up. And but we currently also have a third sister on order with Pierce. It's going to have the same kind of cab, same body. The fire department has given us a mandate of standardization, not only for apparatus and equipment and how it's placed on apparatus, but we take that to the nth degree with every air dryer on every vehicle. Apparatus has to be the same make and model, so we can stock it, alternators, all this kind of sort of stuff. So, that standardization piece while the fire chief, she came down with this mandate. She's backed it up. She's backed it up financially, to understand how important standardization is for us. And I think it's even more crucial today than it was, 3 to 4 years ago when we started the process, just with the availability of parts and pieces and tools and equipment. We ordered a nozzle from a manufacturer who will remain nameless for something damaged, and like, oh, it's going to be 3 to 4 months. I'm like, it's in your catalog. I mean, how can you not have one on a shelf somewhere? But oh no, we're going to forge it, and so you just never know. So having that standardization is pretty critical. I mean, we've had some unfortunate minor accidents, not like vehicle collisions, but damaging equipment against a building or something like that, and having that parts or piece for that aerial at the shop, ready to go, ready to bolt on. So within like 4 hours of the damage and the truck being placed out of service, we were able to bolt on another nozzle and have the thing ready to go. I mean, because it was just a nozzle. If it involved any part of the ladder, that will require us to get a third-party ladder testing done to make sure everything's okay. So it was just a nozzle, so we had that sitting on the shelf. So that's pretty important to us. So, but like I said, so this is the second of the 3 that we've have purchased or are on order, and they're all going to be pretty much identical. So it's a 2024 Pierce Enforcer with a walk-in box in the back. But like you said, it's very traditional for the DC metropolitan area to have for this type of rescue squad, where the officer and the driver ride up front and the crew rides in the back. And we got a picture of the back there. The unit is laid out for how we operate and how we designed it for vehicle extrication, firefighting, and the delivery of EMS services, obviously, which is a huge part of our daily unit responses that Chris mentioned is our EMS responses. So we have to make sure that the rig also ready for that. So it is exactly 38 feet, 1 inch long, has a 223.5-inch wheelbase, and 96 inches wide, and 11 feet 8 inches overall height. And it's powered by a Cummins X12 500 horsepower motor through the Allison 4500 transmission. The front axle is a 20,000 pound front axle, and that's with leaf springs. The rear, where mostly the bulk of that weight is going to be carried on those 2 tandem axles, is a 40,000 pound rear axle with air ride suspension. Something that we are really, really liking in our apparatus. We feel that it saves a lot of stress on the body. So when you have leaf springs, they're connected to the frame around. They absorb some energy, but a lot of that energy is transferred to, I believe, to the frame. Obviously, the body's connected to the frame, so you're going to get that a lot more energy transferred from the road into the spring, frame, and body mounts, as opposed to the airbags. It gives us a little bit of a softer ride. I think our drivers just have to kind of get used to it. Obviously, a leaf spring is a tighter feel when you turn the wheel. You don't feel as much sway. So with our airbags, we're able to give that, reduce the stress on the body. And also we do it as a maintenance point because, I'm sure there's shops that do this. And, we can repair leaf springs. So we would take a whole leaf spring rack, we bought from our manufacturer, whoever it is, and be able to bolt it on. But, if you break like one leaf, usually that's got to go out to a vendor or something like that. And that puts the truck out of service from anywhere from a day to a week, or depending on how big they are. With these airbags, our mechanics can replace those probably within an hour. So, if we have a blowout of an airbag, we have a leak in an airbag, one, they're on the shelf ready to go. And 2, the mechanics can replace them in about an hour. So that's, once again, quick turnaround. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Chris.
You mentioned that the air ride is something that it sounds like you recently introduced it into the fleet. Are you speccing that out on all the pumpers and the ladders as well, or is this just for the rescue?
No, not. We're speccing it out on everything that we've owned, probably for the last 4 to 5 years, is air ride. Getting away from the leaf spring. We do that on the ladder trucks, and we do that even on, now we're even doing it on the ambulances. So we have I think we just got a delivery of 8 Chevy wheel coach ambulances, and rather than liquid springs, we went with the air ride suspension. And once again, quick airbag swap out. Air is easy for us. It doesn't require the fluid. That doesn't say that the liquid springs is a bad product. I when I was reading an article last month in fire apparatus, and there was people in there talking about shops. So as many different colors as there are in fire trucks, there's way to run shops. I mean, it's just so I mean, ours is based on out of service. So how quickly can we turn the rig around? How quickly can we get the rig back in service and have the firefighters and the paramedics that are staffing that unit delivering service to the community? And how our reserve fleet is okay. The fire chief is doing an excellent job of trying to bolster that for us. But as we kind of we base everything on that. So like, if, for instance, with this particular rig, I would say 7 years ago, we would have had a 3 to 5 year warranty on this. One, we come to find out, if you read the fine print, we were going past the mileage within the, in the first 2 years. So, obviously, regardless of manufacturer says, hey, you got a 3 or 5 year warranty, like 5 year, 100,000 miles. So we're passing that within the first year and a half easily. With our mileage, once you go back to the unit responses and the number of incidents that we're running. And look, we're not the busiest fire department in the world. We're not LA City, LA County, or New York, but we are pretty busy. So, getting that rig turned around is important to us, and having the fleet in service. So, warranty claims are not a big deal to us. We work with our vendor, our dealer, to make sure that we get all the parts and pieces. But when you with any fire department, when you take the rig out of service for a warranty issue, then you got to take it to the dealer. Then you get in the queue at the dealer. Once again, the rig's out of service, and then they're riding in a reserve rig that's probably 15, 20 years old, which is not as good as a newer one. I mean, hey, it lasted 15 or 20 years, so the manufacturer had to be pretty good. I mean, this rig here is replacing a 2008 Seagrave that has been run hard. I mean, it needs a rest, and it's going to go in the reserve fleet, because it still has some useful life for us for sure. We just replaced the motor in it, and the body's still good, and the cab's still good. All the safety features are good, so it's going to be a good reserve for us, and it's a testament to that manufacturer's longevity. As long we have a lot of other rig Pierces too that have a lot of longevity also. So kudos to those manufacturers that build the quality and for longevity and thoughts. So,
all right, are we moving on to the next photo there?
Let me look at that. So with that 23 inch wheelbase, the rig does have a frame liner. So if you don't know what a frame liner is, you have your frame rails that are like the U-shaped. There's an extra support in there. Once, just because of all the weight. One of the unique things that we have on this particular rig, if you look ahead of the rear wheels, you'll see the exhaust on the driver's side of the vehicle. If we go around, we don't have a picture of the other side, but there's a duplicate exhaust port on the other side. And what we did is has a diverter valve right behind the DEF filter, that there's a switch inside the cab. So if they pull up to an accident, and they're going to operate off the driver's side of the vehicle, because you'll see, like, right where that exhaust is, that's where all the Hamatro tools are at. They can hit this switch, and the exhaust will go out to the officer side. So you're not blowing, vehicle exhaust into the accident scene or into the incident scene. And obviously, if we have if we have the incident on the officer side, then we just hit the switch and it diverts to the driver's side. So it automatically defaults every time you start and stop the truck to the side where the Plima vent hoses in a firehouse. So it's not like they have to think about it or anything. When they back it in the firehouse, hit the maxi brake, the exhaust is going into the exhaust filter and exhaust system inside the firehouse. So it's a 65-gallon fuel tank, and obviously it's got about a 4.5 to 5 gallon DEF tank in there also, because DEF is the death of all of us with fire apparatus. So yeah, but let's everybody's tired of hearing about the stuff that interests all of us. Let's talk about the stuff that's in the compartments, which most people like to see. So
all right,
I think we just got another picture of the front of the rig is next. Extended front bumper, and we'll get back to that here. So
sorry about that.
That's all right. It's good. So it has our a Whelen, all Whelen lighting system with the exception of the rotor ray, and all the scene lighting is high vis. The BG2 in the front and the BG2 in the rear, and then all the scene lighting is high vis lights. There are so many high vis lights on this that we do not run them all off the 12 volt. So the cab is 12 volt, and the box itself. So 1, 2, 3. There's six of those on the box itself, 3 each side. They run off the generator. So as you pull up to the accident scene, or as you pull up to the fire scene, you can light up the high vis BG2. There's high vis lights underneath the light bars, and all that stuff will light up. And then once you get there, you turn on the generator, and then all the rest of the lights will pop on. So once again, a lot of scene lights, which everybody likes. We want a rescue squad or a ladder truck to show up and turn nighttime into day. We do that through the use of high vis, but you can't put all that on the strain of the alternator and the batteries. Mm-hmm. You would just kill it and be replacing alternators and batteries all day long. So let's get to the compartments, and we'll take a look at some of the stuff that's in here. So this is the very first compartment on the driver side. It's these are all Paratech struts, Paratech Golds. We have a wide array of those: the feet, the tips, the hydrofusion pumps. That's all kind of stuff, obviously, to stabilize vehicles, to stabilize buildings. And all the firefighters and paramedics are very well trained on that. The department has a technical rescue team, and they drill on it all the time. So all the pull-out shelves and everything that you see on there, the pack track, which we'll see in the next picture, but don't switch it yet. They're all mounted at Pierce because we have a sister truck to this. We know exactly where every piece of equipment wants to go. The only change we made on this is you'll see the struts are held in with pieces of plastic, and that's made by a company called Polytech, and they do an extremely good job for us. They do extremely good job for everybody, but for us is that here's a bracket that we don't necessarily have to make in-house, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Like Chris told you how proud I am of the firefighters that do that. But all these hydrofusion and all the struts all snap into place. They're all secured, and we're able to do that in-house. So Pierce supplied us with the pegboard and the pack track, and then we're able to mount everything onto those boards in the slide-out trays. So the slide-out tray that you see there is a high-capacity tray, and we'll talk about that when we get to the Hamatra compartment. So let's go to the next slide, please, Chris.
Before we do that, just is this a transverse compartment, or is this just on the one side?
Fully transverse compartment. But the pull-out trays are split in half. So half pulls out to one side, half pulls out to the other. The back wall and the front wall obviously are stationary, and that's where we mount a lot of the stuff that they can reach, and then also have the support as they're getting out a long strut. As they pull it out, it's supported by the brackets. Okay. So once again, trying to make sure it's ergonomic for our firefighters, and they have an easy way of getting that stuff out.
Okay.
Very important. So here's the pack track. Once again, made by the Performance Advantage Company. We love pack track. We love pack products. That way we're not. This is installed at Pierce. We installed the one on the sister squad here, and man, that was a chore itself. And it's not because of, it's just to get it to look nice, to get it to be nice and even. It just takes a little bit of effort. So we just had Pierce install it. What we do with a pack track, we do a lot of pack track in our pumpers, definitely a lot of in our aerial trucks, is that the manufacturer or the shop, we install it, and hopefully that's the last time that we drill into the body of the fire truck. So we can take the end pieces off of that pack track. That's that silver piece you're looking at there that the gold struts are mounted to. Is that we can take that end piece off, and if we've drilled too many holes into that aluminum, we just take that piece out and we can put a new piece in. So once again, we're not drilling into the fire truck. There's nothing that just makes my heart hurt as a fire truck person is, to go to get an older rig and there's just 1,000 holes in it from being in service for 15 years. And, oh, no, we want to do it this way. We're going to change the way we do operations. We're going to change it that way. And we're just constantly drilling holes into the body, which is never good. So we put pack track anywhere we think we're going to have a changeable piece of equipment over the life of the vehicle. So underneath is the poly boxes that we had built, once again, to carry the attachments, so the straps, fittings, anything we need to do. We had those kind of cut down to make them easy to grab as they kind of pull out, and they're all held in there with a plastic lip, so they can get in and out pretty quickly. So let's go to that next slide there, Chris. So pride and joy is our Hamatro stuff. This will be our first fully out-equipped Hamatro rescue squad. We have the fire chief and the administration gave us funding to retrofit the other units, once again, due to standardization. So when a career rescue squad shows up in our county, that they will all have compatible tools and they're able to hook up. Everybody's trained the same. They understand the limitations of each tool. So we use a combination of tools. So as I go out and listen to people, and Chris, you know just as well as I do, is that battery tools they're the hot lick. Everybody kind of wants them. We kind of split it down the middle. I personally think, regardless of manufacturer, that the battery tools are really heavy. It could be I'm getting old too. I mean, but I think they're really heavy. I think the tethered or hydraulically, when you take the orange reel or the green reel and hook it into these tools, they're in the bottom shelf. I think it's actually lighter. You're limited for a 100-foot reel, but as you can see on the bottom shelf here, we have a portable pump that already has 50 feet of hose already attached to it, and that portable pump is really, really light. I've seen a lot of departments, rather than even having a onboard system like we have, because that is the pump that you see mounted between the orange reel and the green reel, is a stationary hydraulic pump, is that they won't even have a stationary hydraulic pump. They'll just do these portable units, and they're quiet. Obviously they do make some noise, but they're quiet, they're light, and you can move them all around, as need be, tethered to your hydraulic rescue tool. So the battery power ones are on the other side, and we'll show you those later on as we go through the slide deck. And then you see the picture on the right is the pull-out tray, heavy duty pull-out tray on both the hydraulic tools on the bottom and this middle tray. And our next slide will show you the company. It's just a heavier duty. It's 1,000-pound tray. So as you're bouncing up and down the road and you have all this heavy equipment on it, the tray is not bending. Regardless of manufacturer, if you overload a tray, you overload a tray. I mean, aluminum and steel is only so good. So we just put these heavy duty 1,000-pound trays on. Here's all the rams that are from the Hamatro, and all that sort of stuff. So let's go to that next slide there, Chris, please.
Before we do, I do think that you made a really good point there. And I've certainly seen, and we had an Arlington firefighter, Alex Moody, come on, and he talked about rescue truck designs and the tools and all. And I've seen departments go totally electric power units on the truck mounted with the reels. I've seen some fire departments are going all battery, but there's a very, very, pretty decent share of fire companies, there are departments that are doing exactly what you did. They're planning for any type of vehicle rescue they're gonna do. The truck can only get so close,
Yep.
like you said. So you are sometimes limited by the reel. Early in my career, we didn't want super long reels because then you lost some power at the tool. So there are trade-offs on everything. But what you've done here is you've tried to minimize those trade-offs by making sure that you spec, you have the battery ones, you have the gas powered unit there, and you have the ones that are connected to the truck. So I just wanted to throw that out there. That is becoming a pretty common way of addressing just the myriad types of incidents that we get to. Accessibility, the car's down an embankment or something. No matter what, there's going to be on this truck or many others that I've seen the right tool for that right situation.
Yeah, I mean, we strive as the apparatus shop and as the supplier of apparatus and the supplier of equipment, your initial equipment, is to give the company officers and the firefighters a myriad of choices. So we do that with the pumpers. How many water inlets do we have? How many discharges do we have? How many sections of hose we give them? What lengths and all this sort of stuff, to try to give them the options of what they're going to see when they pull up at an incident scene. Is it go, oh, we're stuck with a 100-foot reel? No, we got a portable pump. Or better yet, we got a battery power. So just to give them, obviously people that ride these rescue squads, are certainly top-notch people. They have to learn a lot about every piece of equipment that's carried on there, and then the situations that are thrown at them can be very interesting, as we all know in the fire service. So we just try to make all those choices.
How much feed or how much input did you get from the rescue company personnel in terms of the equipment that you were going to be carrying on there, as well as like we said, the battery over gas powered over electric powered?
So I mean, we with the original squad that we bought, because we had not bought a rescue squad since 2014, which was an older Pierce. This was the first one of the new style that we were going to get and operate out of. We definitely talked to that first company that was going to get them. They had a different hydraulic tool manufacturer. So we kind of just mirrored what they had. So they did a trial test prior to us even buying the first squad in 2020, is that, we brought all the tool manufacturers out. They went to a junkyard and they cut stuff up. They gave us the feedback, how many cutters they wanted, how many spreaders they wanted, how many rams they wanted. And then, we just turned that into now, hey, Helmatro is now going to be our hydraulic rescue tool manufacturer. And, for us, the deal there is, one is service, and two, they're manufactured 30 miles from our county. So they're a manufacturing plant where they make all this sort of stuff. And we can go up there and swap a tool out with no problem whatsoever. So.
But are we going in order of the compartments along the side of the truck? Okay. Yep. All right. So we're still on the officer side or driver's side?
Yep. So this is the second compartment back. And then, so let's just go to the next slide. So this is the slide, the OSS slide. That's the slide company that it's a 1,000-pound slide. As you take a look at the center picture, this is our standard for our compartments, especially for a hydraulic tool compartment. So that's a 30 amp receptacle for the pump. And then to the left is what you'll have in every compartment on the rescue squad. And in the back is a bank of 12 volt terminals. And then you have a bank of 110 terminals that is all run by the Shoreline Power. And you see a better look at that plug on the right-hand picture, that it's 2 house plugs and then 2 USB. But of course, USBs are now going out of style for USB-C. So, now we got to, we'll have to replace all those plugs in the future to get the USB-C. But once again, we put that 12 volt block and we put that 110, charging off the Shoreline in every compartment, because we don't know what over the life of the rig is what's going to get stored there, what needs to be charged there. So once again, rather than, limiting ourselves, we just put these plugs in the plugs and the terminals in every compartment. So over the life of the rig, you're not having to run wire, through compartments, through the frame rail, and everything else from the generator or from the shoreline.
And is that the portable
That's
pump, or
the stationary pump?
That's the stationary. Okay.
We kept the cage on it because when you take it out to do service, you don't want to have to deal with just holding on to the motor. So.
Gotcha. Where is that in the compartment? Is that up high?
That is up high. That is the very top of the compartment you see there. That beam that's coming across the top of it. That is the very top of that compartment.
So we're okay. So we're right here.
No, yeah. So if you go to the picture on the left, you'll see the white plugs there. The white plugs on top of that motor. So
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So once again, feedback from our people in the field, and feedback from the the career firefighters that are assigned here is that hey, you never know what we're going to want to charge in there. You can get a Streamlight Survivor charger now, 12 volt. And then, if they want to buy it, they can plug it into anywhere on the rig to charge it. So, and of course, you can charge your cell phone, which is probably the most important thing. In any compartment,
well, you got to take the pictures.
Yeah, and in any compartment, we can lock you in any compartment. You can still charge your phone. So, it's all good. Let's go to that next picture then.
This is my favorite. I swear, this is my favorite compartment. I loved it when I saw it. The way you guys did the cribbing is awesome.
So you talked about doting on employees. I have a phenomenal fire technician that's assigned here to our shop. His name is technician Darren Tomlinson. This kid has more OCD than I have. I thought I had a lot of OCD, but more importantly, he does it. He does the job and he does it well. He doesn't. We had to redo a bunch of this cribbing because the PGFDs were crooked in there. So what we did is, obviously this is all hardwood. We went to an Amish lumber yard in Southern Maryland, bought all the wood, brought it back up. Darren custom cut every piece of wood on there, drilled every hole. And then we had a electric brander. We burned the PGFD in every end. And then, him and Ryan Armstrong, another fire technician assigned here, put every piece of rope and every piece of cribbing wood, sanded it. They just did a phenomenal job. The amount of care that they put into this rig is they deserve accolades that I can't even begin to describe how much time. So you talk about it got delivered in August, and we're just doing driver's training. Anybody that's tried to outfit a heavy duty rescue, this is a time consuming event. When we talk about the equipment mounting later on, just to build a compartment, that could be 2 or 3 days. And then you get everything mounted in there, and then you don't like the way it sits, or the firefighters come in and take a look at it and they go, well, we don't like this here, we like this there. It doesn't fit right. The ergonomics isn't right. And, firefighters are made all different sizes and heights. So we try to make sure that we get all that correct each and every time. And then, so this compartment here has a twin sister on the other side. So in the same place. So same amount of cribbing, same amount of boxes. The black box you see on the top shelf there, that is going to be a box full of wedges for when they're doing stabilization. But 2x4s, 4x4s, 6x6s, flat pieces of wood. It's just incredible. So, and obviously, then to take the picture, Darren had to make sure all the rope was in the right places. So, but as you can see here, all we do is we drill 2 holes in the end. You stick the rope end in. You take a pair of needle nose and bring it out the other side, tie a knot in, and then pull it tight. And that way, all the cribbing wood stacks tight against each other. We did a huge big rescue in Clearwater, Florida when I was there. I fortunately had a woodworker, but assistant chief by the name of Kent Watts said, he was able to, route all that and get all the corners just right. And we just weren't going to do that. And then the rope would fit in this notch so they could stack it next to each other. So just a different way to do it. And we think it looks good. So.
Well, it does look good. And I mean, it's the stacking part of it that was what drew me to it, is because, I mean, I can think of over the years, my own fire company, we've done the different ways of, we've put, webbing on the ends, but, the webbing always goes around the side. So you truly cannot, you're losing space as you go across. So this is I just really like the way you guys did it. It's really, it makes it so that you can maximize, the space that you have. And, it looks pretty good too.
Hey, look,
like you said.
When I measure, it's, an inch and a half, and then an inch and a half and 2 lines. That's the way I would say it out loud.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's the way I would measure. Obviously with somebody who knows how to measure, like Darren, he knew exactly how many pieces of cribbing wood was going to fit in there when it was getting built at Pierce.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously, we put the extra shelves in there, the dividers. He knew all that just by measuring, which is a good thing. He definitely knows what ID and OD mean. So inside dimension and outside dimension. So it's all good. Let's go to that next compartment then.
Okay.
This is you'll see these are the last overwheel compartment. So there's 2 overwheel compartments. This is the airbag compartment. Excuse me. And this is a little bit different than our first one. We're going to redo the first one because we were able to find out that we could fit all these airbags in these stacking them on edge rather than flat. These are all Hamatro airbags, and all the air hoses and the controllers are all in that case. We didn't take a picture of. This is a slide out, tilt down, and we have room underneath for some storage also. The next compartment if you're looking at on the right, that is the last compartment on the rig. Blowhard fans, the empty space there is for an air cart, and then the driver's gear, driver's SCBA, driver's hand tools, some salvage equipment on the top shelf is a slide out, tilt down, and then any other tools that we want to put on the rig in the future. So we don't build the rig we build the rig for the future. So we leave space for what's going to come in the next year or two, or the next 3 or 4 years. So not every shelf is packed full of equipment. We leave extra space for that sort of stuff. So if you got no questions, let's go. I think we go to the back here next.
I have one, but you might answer it later. I was wondering about the air cart. I'm assuming that's for some pneumatic tools.
Yep. So it's a Scott,
and the airbag.
Yeah, Scott air cart. It's 2 60-minute cylinders that are hooked together. You're able to run air tools. We're able to do supplied air. A myriad of things with the technical rescue team. They can shoot air shores with it, and then just kind of exchange the cylinders back out. And it just wasn't on here without getting some fittings put on it when we took the pictures. So,
is there any air? Is there any other air on the truck, like any other airlines that you could supply air from? So there's no cascade type of thing set up on there or anything with any air.
No, it has an inlet outlet, exhaust off the chassis air system, but we don't have like a 100-foot reel of air. That's what the cart's for. So that's just half the way the teams operate. So.
Okay. All right. So we're going to the back of the truck now. Okay.
Yep. So this is the back of the rig. You see, obviously these are the doors that kind of you walk in the back of. That's the very first thing. If you sit there is the water can. The forcible entry firefighters tools are there. The hooks mounted on the back are for the hook firefighter. There's 2 people. Our staffing is 4. 2 firefighters in the back. And then we just fill the back up with stuff. It's just water rescue equipment. A lot of the hand tools, a lot of the battery tools we put in the back to protect them, from the weather or from, the dirt and grime that gets in compartments. So, obviously the back is a much better sealed compartment area. Hand tools, the batteries for the Hamatro tools back there are sitting back there on another shelf. Underneath the bench that you sit on is our 24, our 14, our 10-foot ladder, and our 10-foot and 12-foot, Halligan hooks. So once again, it can ride, 4 to 5 firefighters in the back. We only have assigned 2. So obviously if we get some upstaffing or, we're getting ready to get some snow, if they, decide to upstaff the rescue squad, staffs more people, we have plenty of room for them when they get there. So It's a very nice back. It's very well lit. Those are the high vis underbody compartments that we put in the ceiling to blind you as you walk in the back. But you hit a switch and they all turn to red. So once again, just a programming feature and something we just like to do. So,
are there riding assignments for those for the two that are back there? I guess depending on the call, I mean, if they're responding to a job.
Yep. Each individual station has that. It has the rescue squad that, for instance, like the forcible entry person on a fire is the tool person. That gets out and gets the cutters, gets the spreaders, goes to work, and the other firefighter, who's the hook and can firefighter, is probably stabilization or helping them, backing them up. But once again, we don't get involved in that. We like to think we get involved in a lot of things, but we don't get involved in that. The company officer determines that for each squad company. So.
Little known fact about PGFD's shops is that speaking of the ladders, I saw quite a few when I was there. So you guys are also making all the repairs to the ladders as well, correct?
Yeah, we there's over 500 or 600 ground ladders on pumpers and rescue squads alone, not counting the ladder trucks. The ladder trucks are like a separate thing, but we have a retired firefighter that maintains, repairs, and assists the testing company with that annual testing of all our ground ladders, and that is a full-time job. I mean, just halyards, bent rungs, all that stuff comes into our shop, so we don't have to send it out. What Chris has also saw while I was here was that our bank of reserve ladders, that is something we certainly, as the ground ladder companies started having protracted delivery times, we started stocking ground ladders. So we've switched to one manufacturer. Obviously, we still have two manufacturers out in the field because we didn't replace them all. But anything that we've bought from, I would say 2022 on, has been the one manufacturer. So that's the ones we stock. So if this ladder has a bent beam or has 5 or 6 rungs that need to be repaired and we can't get to it that day, we'll give you a loaner ladder and to keep your company in service. Once again, our mentality of not having the company out of service, not having them have a lower service to delivery by only having a 24, not having a 14 or something like that. So we, once again, we stock all that stuff here. Once again, based on the mandates by the fire chief, the administration, of standardization and also low out of service times. So,
okay,
what's next here? So if you look at the back of the squad here, the D handle that you see, that opens up this compartment that you see in the picture on the left, and that is the storage for the portable 10,000-pound portable winch. And that can go in any receiver on the rig. So we have hitch receivers in the rear, both sides, and in the front. And they all have like that battery terminal connector at each spot. And you can take that 10,000-pound portable winch and put it on all 4 sides of the rig. So Chris happened to like this door that we put here. So this is the side mounting post for it. The red cap is the connection to power, and that's a spring-loaded door. So you click it open, the door swings open, and that way when you're holding the heavy 10,000-pound winch, you're not trying to hold a door open and put the winch in. So, like I said, a 10,000-pound winch that can go on all 4 sides of the rig. So,
where does the pin? Where do you access the pin? The pin that's right here that holds the.
It's hard to see, but you can get your hand in there.
Okay. Yeah. And then that's what it looks like shut.
Yep.
Anyway.
Once again, any manufacturer that's just, they'll put any kind of door that you want on there. That's what we specified. So, but let's go right around to the next side and we get through this. This is the rear compartment on the officer side. This is let's put as much stuff as we can in one compartment. I can tell you that the very first one that we did, Darren and I were mounting all the equipment in here, and I can't tell you, that took us like a week. I mean, that is like a Jenga puzzle, trying to get everything in there with screws and with hex nuts and with acorn nuts, and try to get everything to match up. So everything kind of goes together. But now we kind of got it down pat. So this one was a lot easier because we just took a bunch of pictures of the first one and then just kind of taped them in the compartments. And then as Darren and I got time during the day to work on the new rescue squad to get all the equipment mounted, you'd be able to go look at the picture and then mount everything. And then we have all these mounts in stock in our own shop, so we don't have to go out and order them or anything like that. The big portion here that I have to say is that we do a lot of this, as you see, like with the floor jack, with the bottle jacks, all you see that plastic that's on the floor and on the walls, and you saw it on the other side of the rig, like where the air cart went and how the blowhard fans were mounted. That's all plastic welding rather than aluminum. We kind of find it's a lot easier for us to be able to plastic weld than it is to aluminum weld. We saw this. I originally saw it in, I always get Winter Park, Florida. That fire department there, a great fire department outside of Orlando. They had started using plastic to mount a bunch of their equipment. We did our rescue squad in Florida with that. We had to take a lot of it out of house, take it to the local plastic place. Here, we learned about plastic welding and being able to do it in house from our brothers and sisters in the Loudoun County, Virginia Fire Department. They were doing phenomenal work on their rigs, and we were jealous, and so we went over there to learn how to do it. They were great hosts, and then Darren kind of took it on himself to learn how to do it, and now to make a lot of these brackets, the flooring. We put plastic in almost every floor of every compartment, just once again to protect the rig and make sure that it sustains life. And then if we ever want to change the mounting pieces, all we do is we take the plastic floor out, take it back out, remount everything, and put the floor back in without having to drill into the floor of the compartment, creating more areas for dirt and grime to get in, and then moisture to get in the compartment. So, if I could measure really well, might be able to do plastic weld, but I'm a terrible measurer, and it takes a lot of attention and a lot of precise measuring to get all that stuff right. So we'll go up to that next compartment. Excuse me. So this is the compartment over top of the wheel wells. This is our saw compartment. 2 rotary saws, 2 chainsaws, and a rotary battery-powered DeWalt saw. That's our standard complement of saws for rescue squads and for truck companies. So the tillers that we have, the rear mount 107s that we have, they all have that same complement of saw. The manufacturers of the saws are all the same, and the bars are the same, and the chains are the same. So once again, standardization. So when you have a bar go bad or you have a chain go bad, you can just come here. We'll give you a new bar. We'll give you a new chain. It's going to fit your saw and be ready to go, and it fits in the bracket that was made for the saw. So we kind of have a saying here is that everything has a place and everything's going to be mounted. We don't want anything rolling around inside that compartment, damaging it. Once again, we're trying to preserve the life of the vehicle. One, how it operates, one, how it looks. So as you can see, the saw blades have a mounting spot. The true fuel cans has mounting spots. The oil can has mounting spots. And then usually the station captains, as the truck goes on in its life, all they have to do is contact the shop. Hey, we want to mount an XYZ widget in the compartment. One, is it approved piece of equipment? Is it standardized? Do we have to go buy it for the next 3 rigs or the next 4 rigs? And then we'll build a bracket for it, purchase a bracket for it, and then do it all on all those rigs. So there is a little bit of autonomy with it, but not much. We try it, once again, based on the standardization that is mandated by the department. So,
okay.
But let's go to the next one here as we get around the rig. Just to kind of duplicate of the other side, once again, another cribbing compartment. And then this is the side of, once again, where we have the Hamatro set up, where it's a combination of hydraulic, and then the batteries are on the bottom. The battery tools are on the bottom. So if you want to go to that next picture, I think we have a better picture of the electric ones.
Is this a good time to talk a little bit about that 80/20
Yeah.
in terms of tool mounting?
Yeah. So the ruggedness of these tools. So how firefighters, I mean, look, I've been one forever. So, we're going to slam the tool back into place and put the strap on and ready to go. So we have a lot of those hydraulic rescue tool mounts are made by a custom fire apparatus tool maker in the First Do Apparatus Solutions out of Hollywood, Maryland. They build us aluminum brackets and then powder coat them. Not powder coat them. They paint in black spot to match the rig. So they do the hydraulic tools. They've done the airbag compartments. They did the cribbing compartment. Once again, making the shells for us because, that way we have all the stuff. It's not like we're going to ship. Well, we can't now with our manufacturer. We can't ship the hydraulic rescue tools out to the manufacturer. We can't ship all the cribbing wood out to the manufacturer and go, hey, this is how we want it, build the shelf around it. So, most fire departments now have a local, where they either have the dealer or they have a third party, like we use as First Do Apparatus Solutions as our tool maker, tool mount maker. They also build our mat boxes. They carry our mat books and everything like that. So they, I would say they were like, it was like 70-30 a long time ago that they did all the brackets. As we've progressed with pack track, pack mounts, our own plastic welding in-house, it's probably about 80-20 now. We're doing about 80% of the work. They're doing 20, but it's phenomenal work. Once again, you can, there's a lot of those companies out there. Look them on, Facebook and the internet. Just watching the ingenuity of some of these mount makers, especially when they're using aluminum or metals or stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So, but this is, once again, this is that bottom shelf. That's 1,000-pound shelf. The tools are very, very heavy. You can see the chargers are in the back. One of the neat things that I thought about this, it's kind of like my MacBook computer has a magnetic power cord. So if you kind of get it close, it snaps into place. That's all these. So if the firefighter is in a hurry, grabs the tool out and then starts to walk away, if he doesn't unplug it, the magnet just comes unplugged and kind of dangles down until he puts the tool back in. So this is the cutter and the spreader. And once again, I don't care what tool manufacturer you are. And once again, I'm saying I could just be getting old, but man, that stuff's heavy. But firefighters and the paramedics that are out there working, they kind of like it, and so we give them all the choices. So, and that the picture on the right, this is that through compartment behind the cab doors. That's where for a lot of our long stuff, Stokes basket. There's going to be an ice rescue sled that goes in the bottom there, and a little bit of storage. We put all the core reels in there. Once again, we're not dependent on batteries. So our blowhard fans, that's a battery powered fan. But I think a lot of people forget that when the battery goes dead, you can still power the fan. So all you do is have a core reel to power it up, and that's what we 200 foot of core reel there to do it. So we still have it's a 30 kW generator that's on here, so that powers both the Hamatro pumps, all the high vis lights, and then both these power cords. And that's, once again, that was all based, that size, that generator was based on the starting power of the Hamatro pumps. So once again, an electrical engineer went and calculated all that and got, this is the size generator you need, so you're not bogging stuff down. So once again, a lot of credit to the fire truck manufacturers and the engineers that they hire that are able to figure all this stuff out for us. So. And then I think we go to the front, and then we can get we'll all be around here. And
is this a compartment right here?
Yeah, it's a little over wheel compartment, elevator keys, gas meters, some all kinds of little stuff. The battery charger for the vehicle, the jockey pump are all in that kind of compartment there. Easy to access, and something that doesn't need to be low and accessible all the time. So,
okay, here we go with the bumper.
Yep, this is our front bumper. A 15,000-pound front fixed winch, and then it has accessory trays on both sides for all the winch accessories that kind of go in there. That's that braided, that's not steel. That's that braided rope that's on there. Our Maryland flag that we're so proud of, and our rotary, something else that we're very proud of here in Maryland, because it originated across the river. So I think that's as it kind of go around. I think the only thing I kind of missed is some of the extra stuff that kind of goes on there on the corners of the box. Mounted very up high on the box on every corner is a 9,000-pound rope anchor. I think you have to go to the other one. So in each corner, for the technical rescue teams, you're able to have a high anchor point there, and that's a 9,000 that's built into the box. Some of the safety stuff that's on here is obviously ABS, electronic stability control. We have the Haas system that's on here. That's the transmits to OEM mapping features that there's a fire truck up ahead, and depending on the features you choose, it can also have a collision avoidance for fire trucks with Haas. We have a Roscoe camera that records the outside of the vehicle as it's driving down the road. David Clark headsets, and obviously what I believe is the VDR, which is we've had that discussion. It does have one of those, so the vehicle data recorder, so we can take care of all that, and obviously all the Pierce electronics and stuff that kind of goes on there. So it's a good rig. We're very happy with our first one. We hope to have this one in service this month. That's our plan, and then the third one is on order with Pierce Manufacturing now, and I think that is a 2026 delivery. So.
Okay. I'll tell you, all those safety features, I mean, the type of responses that your department has, especially like beltway stuff and all that. I mean, you can't add too much to this, to give people an idea of what they're driving into as they go. There are just so many rigs that get hit.
Yeah. I think, I'm sure, it doesn't get talked about a lot. I'm sure if we go to, you talk to the shop manager from New York, you talk to the shop manager from Los Angeles, Dallas, any of those big places. I mean, it's shocking to me that people that hit fire trucks and then run, hit and run accidents. And, if we didn't have this camera system on there, one, we would not be able to see exactly what happened. And two, we have been able to track down, license plates by this camera system, and give it to the police department to handle. It's good to see what's happening with the rigs. And it's crazy. I mean, like you said, we've talked about that extensively on different shows about the accidents and stuff like that. It's just, it's crazy how many apparatus and vehicle accidents there are with these fire trucks. It's crazy. So.
Well, before I let you go, I wanted to see if you just had any, parting words of advice or words of wisdom for those who might be designing one of these. You've gone through this now 3 times, and rescue trucks, in my experience, are rather unique vehicles. You've probably got 50 pumpers that are all the same, and 30 ladder trucks that are all the same. But you said you're doing a lot of standardization with these, but even still, these are unique compared to like the bread and butter rigs that every department will have. Have you come up with any kind of lessons learned as you went through this process? Because like you said, you have the one that's on the way. That's a third one, right? A third sister. So having gone through that.
The big part is that we always start with the big pieces. So, the oblong pieces that, obviously the struts take up a lot of compartment space. Stokes baskets take up a lot of compartment space. Tripods take up a lot of compartment space. So where you're going to place those is probably your first, design. With us, with, how you're going to carry your ground ladders. So, we could have in how if we're going to do a walk-in, if you do a non-walk-in, can you get more compartment space? Yeah, you can get more through compartments. If you carry your ground ladders in a notch in the well, rather than underneath the seat, you're going to get more depth of a compartment. One is based on our equipment cache and how we operate. I mean, the rescue squads are a first response unit for like technical rescue. So they'll get there, they'll get the system started, and then the support units show up. So like with Florida, with the rescue squad that we built in Florida, that was, to get the support units there could be a time, could be a major time frame. So we designed that rig as a non-walk-in with all these through compartments so they can carry a wide assortment of lumber to start a shoring operation if they needed to be. So once again, it's just based on what your fire department staffing is, what your operation model is. These work for us. I mean, and they work for Washington, D.C. They work for Baltimore City. They work for a lot of those departments around. And, just because that's the rig we buy and it looks pretty and operates doesn't mean it's going to work in your community, depending on, once again, like your staffing model, your geographic area, and how you operate. I mean, as many, like we said before, as many colors as a fire truck, there's a way to operate a fire department also. I mean, it's shocking to me that, we can go across the Potomac River and have two, we still run together, but they operate totally different on a fire ground, or how they operate the rescue squads and stuff like that. So, as much as I think ours is the be all to end all, somebody's always got a better idea. And that's one of the big deals is that we took a tour before we started the first one. We took a tour of probably 2 days of just driving around, looking at other people's rescue squads, taking pictures, not only of the vehicle and the vehicle systems, but also how they mounted the equipment and, who built this and, who built that bracket and who built this bracket and, why is it hanging like this, and trying to figure all these sort of pieces out, and then go through that picture deck and go through the compartments and go, all right, this is what we want to do on ours. And that's how we're going to mount it. And then, take it to our chosen manufacturer and kind of apply it and then see if it all fits. It's like I said, it's a Jenga puzzle. When this rig comes in, I mean, it looked like, I think I posted a picture on our social medias. There was, the whole bay was filled with boxes, just empty boxes when we'd unboxed everything. And then you got to put it all together on this rig. And, that's a skill. I mean, that's why dealers do it. And that's why there's these third-party mounting companies that do that, because it can be difficult. I mean, Ocean City, Maryland has a beautiful, rescue squad that they have. It's a monster. And, man, there isn't an inch of space on that thing. So when they showed up to the first two Apparatus solutions, I happened to be there, and it was truckloads of equipment, and then they go, all right, let's fit it all in here, and it takes 2 to 3, 4, 5 days, to get every tool mounted in there correctly. And it's for the life of a vehicle most of the time, unless you're changing hydraulic systems, changing shoring systems or airbag systems, a lot of that stuff's going to stay for a very, very long time. So, try to get it right the first time. Give yourself the option. Like I said, with the pack track or pegboard or whatever you want to do, is that so you have the ability to mount a bracket, then take it off, and you're not drilling into your fire truck, making your $1.7 million rescue truck into Swiss cheese before it even goes in service, because B shift doesn't like where the light hanger is, and C shift does. You got to get some kind of in between. Is that we mounted it this way, so we're just not drilling into that rig. So it's kind of important. Obviously I know that the rescue squads in DC and the rescue squads at the FDNY, you go into them. I'm sure you open up a compartment on Rescue 1. You go open the door on Rescue 3 or Rescue 4. The tools and the equipment are pretty much standardized across that fleet. So as you get there, and that's what we're shooting for, and we're happy to do it.
I think that's a great point about the mounting. You're very fortunate to have the staff that you do that can do that. Not every department has the super hand. Well, first of all, not all of them have a staff to do it, and not every fire company has the handiest of people to do that. So just to remember that there is help out there. There are third parties that can help you out with that, and talk to your manufacturer as well, because they're going to know who's around you.
Yeah, I mean, and then that once again, that's a testament to our fire chief and to our administration, and understanding the importance of our building and our people and how it affects operations. So once again, I mean, to have that, have those leaders have faith in us and give us the people we need to produce our product and to produce our service is instrumental to how we operate. So without that faith, we wouldn't be able to show you all these great pictures and talk about our great technicians and how they do the job if it wasn't supported by the fire department. So,
all right, great. Well, thank you again, Ricky, for sitting down with me today and taking all the time to take those pictures. I took a bunch, but none of them were as good as the ones you showed me today in this. So thank you very much for doing that. If you do have any questions about this rig, let me know and I'll get them to Ricky, and we can either, he can either answer you via email, or we can put those questions together maybe and have another podcast to get them answered. But let me know. I'm at chris.mcclune@clarionevents.com. Again, all of our podcasts are archived on our website at fireapparatusmagazine.com/podcast. And if you have any suggestions, if you have a topic you'd like Ricky and I to talk about, if you have a topic for any of the other podcasts that we have, let me know. Again, it's chris.mcclune@clarionevents.com. So again, my thanks to Ricky Riley for sitting down with me today for our first podcast of 2025. We got a lot more to go. I'm hopefully going to get back down to the shop soon to come up with more content for us. So again, this has been Chris McClune along with Ricky Riley, Fire Apparatus and Emergency Equipment. Have a good one and stay safe. Thanks again, Ricky.
thank you, Chris.